What is going on, everybody? I am back today to do another ranked list, and if you didn't see, recently I reviewed Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the fifth film in the Indiana Jones franchise, and the Indiana Jones franchise has been a big part of my life. My brother and I, when we were younger kids, we watched these movies like crazy, the original trilogy. They were such a big part of who we were as kids. They really got me to fall in love with movies. I just wanted to watch these over and over again and just live in this world. I thought Indiana Jones was the coolest. I thought Harrison Ford gave such a great performance. And obviously there's been two other films added to that trilogy over time. And I thought it would be fun to get on here and rank them. And as I always do in these rank lists, I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to my favorite. And this one may be a little controversial to some people, and I'll just say it like I do every single time. It's my opinion. I love watching these rank list videos and seeing people post their letterboxd rank list because it really just goes to show how art impacts everyone differently. And sometimes you can leave scratching your head like crazy, like, why does that person feel that way? And because mine may be a little controversial, I'm going to give you my thoughts as to why I think that these fall in these places. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear about yours as well. So if you leave a comment down below, let me know what your favorite to least favorite Indiana Jones films are. I'd love to read those every time I do these rank lists. It's my favorite thing in the world to read you guys's and just kind of hear what you think about these franchises. So without further ado, let's get into it right now. Coming in at number 5 is going to be the newest Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. While I didn't think this film was horrible, the biggest issue I have with this movie is it lacks the charm that the original trilogy films have and that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had. Steven Spielberg not being at the helm in this movie was a huge detriment to it. And the other thing is too, and this is no shot at him because I think Harrison Ford is a phenomenal actor and he's a dedicated actor, but it's not the same watching 80-year-old Harrison Ford run around like he's on an adventure. It just doesn't have that same feel or excitement value. Even when Crystal Skull came out and he was getting a little bit older, it didn't have the same spark, but there was enough of that Spielberg charm to kind of cover that up. And in this movie, there's just so many moments that are just completely bland, that don't provide anything to the overall impact of the film. It's mostly bloated and it's not really all that exciting. It's just like, can we get to the next action set piece? Which, like, if you had a young Harrison Ford who was being really quippy and goofy and fun, it would work. And instead they added Phoebe Waller-Bridge into this, Mads Mikkelsen as well. And as I said in my review, I wasn't overly impressed with either one of those performances. I didn't think they were bad, but I didn't think they really made this world anything worth revisiting. And it's not a terrible movie. Harrison Ford did a phenomenal job. I think his character got the closure it needed. I thought that he was fantastic overall. But other than that, it just left a lot to be desired. It's not my favorite in the franchise. It's actually my least favorite. Coming in at number 4 is going to be The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This movie, when it was first released, was absolutely hated by virtually everyone that saw it. And for a lot of people, I read that the reason why they hated it was because aliens. I'm like, did you forget in Temple of Doom that Harrison Ford watched a guy get his heart pulled out and he was still breathing? Like, if you're looking for realism in the Indiana Jones franchise, you've come to the wrong place. But I didn't think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was great, but I also don't think it's horrible. I think it still has that Steven Spielberg charm. Harrison Ford, getting a little bit older, was still having a lot of fun with the role. I actually didn't hate Shia LaBeouf in this. He's not great, but he's not terrible in it either. I love that we got Marion back in this. I think she was another highlight to this film. She was fantastic in it. Most of the set pieces are really great. I even enjoyed the atomic bomb sequences. Some of the CGI towards the tail end gets really bad and it looks really terrible, and I understand the qualms with that. Some of the editing choices are just absolutely baffling in this. The vine swinging sequence is really stupid, but it's fun. I mean, and it has that Steven Spielberg charm, which is why, like, if push comes to shove, I'm going to revisit Kingdom of the Crystal Skull before I ever put Dial of Destiny in my Blu-ray player, because I just think there's a lot more to attach onto. It feels like it could be adjacent to the original trilogy. I've never really considered it to be a part of the original trilogy because it's such a detraction in quality for me, but I still think that it's entertaining. And just revisiting it, I believe last year, for the first time in a long time. I really enjoyed it a lot, and it's not terrible. I'm sorry, it's not horrible. It's still an enjoyable experience, and I'll continue to revisit it whenever I watch these movies. Coming in at number 3, this might be my hottest take, is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes, the original Indiana Jones film, the one that started it all, the one that everyone considers it to be a masterpiece. And don't get me wrong, I think this movie is phenomenal. I think Harrison Ford establishes the character great. I think the villains are great. I think it has great pacing, great tension, great side characters. But it's not as good as the two that follow it, unfortunately. After watching this trilogy over and over again since I was like 5 years old, I'm 33 this year. And I've watched this trilogy over and over and over again. And this one, as much as I enjoy the ride, and I have a lot of fun with it, and there are so many iconic sequences in this, there's something about the two films that follow it that are just superior in every way to me. The comedic timing in those is better. I feel like Harrison Ford's performance in both of those is better. I like this movie, but it's what everybody says. This movie would still take place if Indiana Jones wasn't in it. The series of events would essentially be exactly the same, and that doesn't detract from how fun of a movie it is to watch. I just think that the two films that follow it execute in such a better way, and honestly, that's why they fall above Raiders for me. I think Raiders is still such a fun experience, and it's a movie that when I revisit it, I still love it a lot, but I just don't like it as much as the other two. So before I get into my last two, these two films could switch on any given day. I love both of them. I personally think both of them are flawless, and I enjoy them every time I revisit them. I think they're perfect adventure films, but I'll get into it now. So coming in at number 2 is going to be Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Absolutely adore this film. I thought the incorporation of Sean Connery as Indiana Jones's father was fantastic. This movie is high octane when it comes to the action. I think the villain in it is great. I love that it gets as insane as they're searching for the Holy Grail. I love all of the different travel elements in this. I think that the sabotage that happens in this movie is really great. It just keeps you guessing from start to finish, and all of the set pieces in this are so incredible, and I feel just completely immersed in this world to where I never want to leave. And it's like, for a movie that's a little over 2 hours, it executes its runtime flawlessly. I don't feel like there is a minute spent with bland expositional dialogue. I feel like everything gets you to that third act punch, which just closes out this trilogy in an absolutely brilliant way. Harrison Ford's performance in this is absolutely incredible. And like I said, I think it works really well because of him and Sean Connery's chemistry. Without that, it wouldn't be the same film. And I adore this movie as much as I adore the film in the number 1 spot, but the number 1 spot just edges it out just a little tiny bit. But I do love this movie a lot. I think it's flawless. And yeah, I honestly want to rewatch it right now. Coming in at number 1, probably one of my most controversial film opinions. My favorite Indiana Jones film is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and my brother Luke would tell you the exact same thing. We loved this movie growing up as kids together, and revisiting it recently, I love it just as much, and I totally understand there is a bunch about this movie that is culturally insensitive, that doesn't work as well today, but I think if you strip all of that away, this movie is exactly what I want out of an Indiana Jones film, in the sense that it combines that kind of witty, over-the-top humor that Harrison Ford has with some really dark elements. This is like the darkest the Indiana Jones franchise gets, as far as to get as crazy as children being enslaved as workers. It's just absolutely insane, all the ground this covers. The villain in this, Kali, is like one of the scariest villains in all of the Indiana Jones franchise. The scene where he literally pulls a person's heart out of his chest, and the pacing in this thing is incredible. It never lets up, and you are always anxious through the entire runtime of this movie, not knowing what's going to happen next. I love all of the set pieces in this. I love when Indy and Short Round are in that trap and it's closing in on them, and you know, they've seen all these bugs and everything, and you get Kate Capshaw's character, Willie, who has to be the one to stick her hand in the bug thing to save them. And it's just so well put together because you've established her character being super frail and like scared of everything at the beginning of the movie. And she has to be the badass that saves them. And I think their chemistry is really great. I know a lot of people have said Kate Capshaw is really annoying in this movie. I've always found her to be really entertaining, and I think she fits the world really well. I love the set piece of the temple. I think it is so cool, just like the enormity of it, all the trap doors and the secret spaces behind it. Short Round, obviously key. Incredible performance for a child actor. Just goes above and beyond in every way. His charm, his charisma, everything about him just adds to Indy's character, and I think the two of them play off each other so well. And I think there's a period where, because of his sense of adventure and just how committed he is to being Indiana Jones's sidekick, you forget he's a kid sometimes. And then there's the moments in this that hit that, like, this is a child, this is a kid being put in danger, and I think that elevates it to an entirely other level that I appreciate so much. This is my favorite John Williams score of any of the films. I think that all the songs in Temple of Doom accompany the movie so well. Has a great third act climax. That scene on the rope bridge is just absolutely amazing. And this movie is so embedded in my mind that I can play it scene for scene for scene. And it just never stops being entertaining. And that's not to say that I don't think The Last Crusade and Raiders are both entertaining, but this is just everything in my mind that an Indiana Jones film should be, and it continues to be my favorite in the franchise, and I think it will be for years to come. So that is my ranking of the Indiana Jones franchise. What's your ranking? Do you agree or disagree with mine? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your favorite and least favorite Indiana Jones films are. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.